welcome to another great episode of Transformed and Renewed. Hope that y'all are excited just as I am. And today we got a great topic because I am going to be sharing with you foods and lifestyle changes that can really help with cancer treatment as well as prevention. Now, I know that this is a topic and it's been around for years in terms of what are some of the things that can help with cancer treatment as well as prevention. Because, you know, if you're like me, I'm the type of person where I like to find things that are going to be holistic, natural in essence, in terms of nature, that can really help with some of the issues that we may face. And so that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I'm not going to dive too deep into some of these, but I do want to at least expose you to, again, some of the foods as well as just changes, your lifestyle that, you should consider, you know, especially if there's someone that you know of, or even if you may be someone who is, dealing with cancer. And I know that that is something, that a lot of people do not want to ever experience, get alone, no one ever expects to go to that doctor and that doctor tell them that you have cancer. And so I am aware that, some of these are just things that can become very uncomfortable, but I do want you to know that it is not the end all be all. Okay. So that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel at Robody 1212. So diving into the first segment, because like I said, I don't want this to get too deep, but I do want to, expose you to, some of the foods. And so when I was thinking about this topic, especially thinking about foods, and I feel great myself because I actually, consume some of these foods routinely, a part of my diet. And so I will say that, you know, not just consuming these foods just for a short time span, it's beneficial, but it's even better, when you can take it past a month, 2 months, essentially a lifestyle change. So one of the foods that I would recommend that has shown, benefits, you know, in terms of cancers and being able to mitigate the onset as well as the treatment of cancers. And before I start, and I want to preface, you know, with everything that I'm mentioning, again, these are just recommendations for you to consider. And I would also recommend that, you know, it's important to consult a holistic oncology, someone who particularly works, with patients who have cancers. But the reason why I say holistic is because they will provide means that are essentially holistic. So, like foods that will provide things that are not based on medicine or, harmful chemical treatments like radiations, which can, cause you to have, elevated level of exposure, which can be harmful to your health. So, it's important for you to do that. Jumping back to the topic, foods for you to consider trying or incorporating with your diet would involve cruciferous vegetables, and that's because of the nutrient composition of these foods. So when you think about cruciferous vegetables, you may think of kale, spinach, chard, bok choy, broccoli, cauliflower. The list goes on. But these are just some of the ones that you may see in the grocery store. But typically, when you think of greens, these are going to be some of the vegetables that I would say for you to include because they do contain a lot of nutrients, especially um, you know compounds that may have sulforaphane. I know broccoli has that, which is one of the compounds that helps with. Um, it's an anti-cancer compound, that's found in broccoli. And one of the things I learned is that if you consume frozen broccoli, sometimes broccoli may be blanched, which means that it may have been heated or boiled at about 90 seconds roughly, and then it's um, after that it is placed on an ice bath to where it's frozen immediately. And this basically enacts it deactivates the enzymes in the broccoli, and therefore it can also deactivate some of the nutrients. But one thing that I've learned that can be I guess, kind of like a quick solution for that is if sulforaphane is lost through that process, where the broccoli is blanched, that you could use mustard powder to add to the broccoli, and that could also, help with that content. Now, again, this is, of course, from just different resources that I've looked at. And of course, there's always more data and research that's coming out. But as of today, that is, essentially what I found. So you could do that, but essentially, you could also do the fresh broccoli. I would say when it comes to fresh vegetables, some vegetables you do want to cook. You don't have to cook for long to, essentially cook the life out of them. Please don't do that. But you do want to cook them because sometimes you may have bacteria on there on the vegetables, and it's good enough. It's good to cook the vegetables to essentially kill off bacteria, as well as some fruit, some vegetables, and now even down to beans or whole grains may just contain anti-nutrients, which can essentially have a defensive mechanism, for protecting that particular plant, but it may not serve well for you if you don't properly cook it. But going back to vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, fresh, frozen, and those are essentially good to consume. And also, when I think of vegetables like onions and garlic, you know, even colorful vegetables like tomatoes and carrots, which contain, lycopene, which is an organic pigment or compound that has been shown to help with cancer prevention and treatment. And so these are just, again, some of the foods. When you think about vegetables, you want to think about diversifying like different colors. And the reason why I point out colors is because the more colorful your plate is, or the vegetable lineup is that you are consuming, this is going to provide you with essentially a plethora of antioxidants, which they can go in, once you consume them in your body, and they can do some more, especially against any free radicals or cancerous cells that may try to proliferate in your body. And so it is important that you diversify your vegetable lineup with colorful vegetables. So like I said, tomatoes or carrots, if you can tolerate them. I know different people may have, different sensitivities to certain foods. So, again, these are just recommendations, but, of course, if you're able to consume these, then by all means, please add them to your list. And I definitely don't want to forget, beans have been shown to, definitely help, when I was looking at the female and the male uh, reproductive organs, primarily as relates to prostate cancer or ovarian cancer. Again, lycopene, which is found in uh, tomatoes, carrots, even red grapefruit. I think pomegranate is another one, but that's just one example, that is related to prostate cancer and ovarian. These types of compounds like lycopene, as well as, when you think about soy, and I know some people may have, again, sensitivities to soy, but if you don't, then this has also been shown to have some beneficial properties when it comes to um, mitigating cancer or, treating it as well. So soy, nuts, different types of nuts, I would say, can help with that. Let me think what else, because it's a lot that was going through my mind. Teas, so like green teas, have also been shown, and mushrooms. And so when I looked at, there are a variety of mushrooms, that I saw, like I want to say it's reke. Don't have the list on my hand, and I think it was also shiitake and some other ones that I'm not too familiar with, but I do know, as I was skimming through, these, again, are some of the foods that, are good to include in your diet, especially, if you're trying to prevent, which I think everybody should, even if If you don't have cancer, that's good, but still, include these, foods in your lineup anywhere you can see fit. When it comes to meats, I didn't say a lot in terms of what meats could have prevented, but I would say, if you are trying to, treat cancer, again, it's important to consult, your oncologist about, consuming meats because they may or may not have a beneficial effect. But one thing I do know for sure, is vegetables, nuts, beans, even whole grains and fruits. And I don't want to forget that particularly when it comes to fruits and berries, or what you want to target, again, because of the antioxidants. So when you think of berries, you think of blueberries, but if you want to take it a step up, go for the wild blueberries, organic. And that was also one thing I wanted to mention: organic vegetables, organic everything. And one thing with organic is, it just reduces the layer of the pesticide residue as well as the herbicide residue that you may find on, different crops or plants. And so this is going to also help, again, when it comes to cancer prevention and treatment, because if you're taking in, a lot of crops that may have cancer, or not cancer, but pesticide or herbicide residue, then that can also get into your system and it can do a number of things. Now, again, with research, from again what I've been doing, sometimes even if you do consume pesticide or herbicide, if you were to take different herbs, such as sage, rosemary, basil, oregano, or other types of spices, they can actually bind to some of those pesticides or herbicides. Even onion powder or garlic powder, or onions and garlic in their whole state can bind to these residues and essentially carry them out through the waste, or essentially however you excrete. But that is going to be better than it going through your bloodstream and trying to go through your fat cells where it's stored. And it's a dangerous game with anything that can be a toxin in your body goes to your fat cells and just sits there, because then it can do a lot of damage. And so, again, it's important to really, include these in your diet. Cruciferous vegetables, and again, even when it comes to vegetables, just you want to think rainbow, colorful. The more color, that means that you're getting the antioxidants. And think about, if you have a plate full of bell peppers, squash, and then greens, that is a wonderful plate. And if you throw on sweet potatoes, that's even better, because you are getting a plethora of antioxidants and just a load of nutrients that are really going to protect your body. So think about that from that perspective. So talked about food so far. I want to jump into lifestyle. Like I said, I didn't want to go too deep, but I did want to at least give you some food so that way you can, at least go grocery shop and say, okay, these are some of the foods that I can incorporate. Let's get to it. And you want to be consistent with these foods and load up on them, okay? When it comes to lifestyle, it's important, especially in terms of cancer prevention and treatment. One of the things that I would recommend is reducing stress. That's one of the last things, but I'm not even gonna say last thing. That is something that you shouldn't even want to entertain. When you have, if you were to have cancer, or just trying to, prevent it. It's easy for a person to deal with stress a lot, and some people may say, "Well, I can handle stress. I can deal with it." Well, you may be able to deal with it externally, but internally, your body's doing so much processing that over time, you may not ever realize it. And most people never realize that, they have cancer until, one day, they're just not here anymore. And a person may say, well, I didn't realize that you can have cancer and, die the next day and not know it. Well, there's a lot of people who have it, and unfortunately they are not aware of it because of stress. And so, one of the things I recommend is finding ways, outlets, so to speak, to really reduce stress. And some of the things that I do, just taking a walk outside, just looking outside. For me, that is just kind of therapeutic, listening to different music, For me, I like listening to gospel music. Even I have a jazz collection where I just listen to different sounds, and I'm strategic with the sounds that okay, this is helping me to regulate, or it's helping with my heartbeat, so to speak. It's helping with my my pulse level. Okay, and so when you think about it, you may not want to trying to listen to music or be around environments that just seem so chaotic and drama filled. You likely want to eliminate that, and so I would recommend you should do your best to do inventory. Okay, what things are causing a trigger in terms of my stress levels going up, and what are those things that are going to help with my stress levels going down. Okay, another thing, and I know some people try to avoid this, is exercise. And that's doing you more good than harm. And I'm sure some people may feel like, well, I tried to exercise, but I felt like I was about to pass out. Well, you will if you haven't done it often, but after you do it a couple of times, trust me, you will get used to the program. But think about, you can start off doing, just running in place or just even walking. If you decide to walk, hey, okay, I'm gonna walk, and let me try to really intensify it by walking up a hill, or if you have a treadmill, just by saying, okay, let me increase the incline and then let me increase the speed just a little bit so I can, push myself. You want to make sure that, you're pushing yourself, because overall it's going to really help you to maximize your life versus, being like a 1970s car that has high mileage on it. Trust me, no one is trying to drive that anywhere. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are keeping your body fit, because, you keep your body fit, listen, the results are endless. And I can tell you from experience, putting your body to the test through exercise, um, low stress, getting proper sleep. Yes, I'm aware that some people don't feel that, sleep is for the lazy, but, after really praying and understand this concept, and likely I will do, a separate talk on this, particularly when it comes to sleep. But it's important to get the proper sleep that you need. Trust me. If you're trying to run, you know, what is it, 20 hours a day out of 24 hours a day, and you say, you know what, I can stay up, I'm Iron Man, I'm Iron Woman, it's not going to sustain you too long, okay? And what are you trying to prove? So get the rest that you need. All right. So those are just a few, and some other ones. I would say that a bonus would be, just finding activities that you like doing that are wholesome. It could be painting. It could be, going to a museum and looking at art. It could just be taking a cruise around town and just seeing, what is available. Sometimes I even, drive around just looking at different homes, elegant homes at that. It could be that, just kind of letting your eyes see and see like different sceneries. And that could also be therapeutic for you. Speaking of therapeutic, get a massage. Could it help with your lifestyle changes as well as help with cancer? Sometimes we just need to distress. We need to get out of the everyday environment and really just slow it down. Slow it down. Okay. So these are just a few things, that I want to share with you in terms of lifestyle. But, just, for a full recap, brief recap of what I mentioned, in terms of foods, vegetables, colorful at that. You want to make sure that you are getting as much vegetables that you're in a day. And if you say, well, I feel like I'm getting one serving, you know, bump that up to like 4 or 5 servings a day. And trust me, you can even increase that over time. You may say, well, that's a lot. Well, not really. If you do it for a while, you may feel like, oh, I can actually eat more. And it can help with your satiety level, how full you're feeling. Beans, nuts, whole grains, fruits, particularly berries that are rich in antioxidants. These can also help with your cancer prevention and treatment. Then lifestyle changes, lower the stress, exercise, you know, get outside of your everyday environment to really, find, different ways that can really help. And bonus ones that I forgot to mention is prayer. That's when I do prayer to Jesus, specifically, because I know people may say, well, I do pray to God, but God for different people, God can be different for different people. So I'm just going to specify, I pray to Jesus Christ, okay? And the Son of the living God to really specify it. And, that has really helped me a lot, in terms of just stress and really being whole, as a person. So I would say, it does take time. That's not an overnight thing, but really growing in your relationship with the Lord is also amazing, and as well as being around groups of people. Um, don't be isolated. I think isolation is definitely of the enemy, especially when you start to think so many thoughts, negative thoughts at that, and it can just build up and you don't want to get into that place, but you want to, be able to stay around people to keep your mind pure, have things that are helping you to stay busy in a good way. Okay. So I hope that these techniques have helped you. Like I said, I want to share some food and a lifestyle tips with you that can really help with cancer prevention and treatment. As I shared earlier, it is definitely important that you consult a holistic oncology or oncologist, but that way they can really provide you with more of a professional as directional guidance, in terms of how to really navigate, cancer if you have it. But if you don't, that's good. But again, still, consider implementing, these techniques that I've shared with you. So if you like this, make sure that you like this video, share it, subscribe to our channel. I really appreciate it. And I thank you for tuning in to this episode, which I hope, again, that you enjoyed. Till next time, I hope that you stay safe, be blessed, and have a great day on purpose.